Welcome back, everybody, to the Party Pace live stream. We've got a spicy one for you guys today. We're going to talk tariffs and the Taipei Cycling Show. And we've got an awesome special guest. We've got Daniel Yang from Yang Manufacturing, and of course, Nolan from the Bike Sauce. How's it going, everybody?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
I'm still jet lagged, but I'm doing well.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us at the last minute. I think I emailed Nolan yesterday to see if he could pull it together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very well connected now, so I was able to pull Daniel. No big deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
The VP of engineering of a really big bike brand, you pulled them in, last minute.
Bam.
I had to clear all my schedule and, cancel important meetings, dealing with the Liberation Day fallout, really big deal.
There you go. Yeah, the reason I asked Nolan to have you on is I was watching your videos from Tapei Cycling Show. They're really, really good, and I feel like you were there pre-Liberation Day, right?
Yeah.
And then
the funny thing is, I was planning sea otter videos when I got back, and then I'm like, what's the point? Like, everyone's gonna be so depressed. Like, I don't even want to talk about anything. So
Yeah, now that it's like post, liberation from your 401k day, I thought it'd be great to have you on and talk about, your experience at the Taipei Cycling Show, but also in lieu of recent news, like how that affects like the part you were sourcing and just like business in general, since you work with Newhouse and your own brand, and you do stuff manufacturing in the States and overseas.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting perspective because we both do manufacturing here and in Taiwan, and I just came back from all the amazing Taiwanese factories, so it's like kind of a interesting point in time. But I guess should we just jump into it?
Let's do it.
How many people are in the chat? Let's see.
44, but it's only 2 minutes in.
That's pretty good. All right, so you guys are getting the exclusive takes. You can share screen, but hold on, I gotta mute. I'm a noob here. Let me mute the other screen. Okay, go for it. Okay.
Yeah, you can't have it on at the same time, otherwise it'll echo.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize I had the live stream on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the first thing to talk about is like, what is the tariff actually? So prior to Liberation Day, the tariff was 4% on bike frames, and then 11% on completes. And so now they're adding 30% on top of that. So if you have, complete bikes, you're now paying 40% on tariffs. And also, I think the other thing that people need to understand is the tariff is like, actually, I think would be interesting to just lay out like what actually happens when you produce a bike overseas, right? So like probably 8 months or 6 months out, you will place an order with your manufacturer. And so that's like decided way ahead in advance. And if the bigger company you are, right, you need to order the frame, you need to order the components, you need to order everything. So it's like a year out that you made this decision. And then let's say finally you're like, okay, product's done, it's ready to ship. You put it on a container and it takes a month to cross the Pacific Ocean or Atlantic, or I guess Pacific, then Atlantic if you're in Europe. And then all of a sudden, like, you get the news that, hey, that container that you spent $200K on, you're going to have to pay tariffs on it. And those tariffs are 30%. And so all of a sudden you go from expecting to pay, like, let's say you had $100K worth of product. And to be clear, this is like pre-MSRP product. So like your cost, right? So if you have $1,000 of product on your container, you're expecting to pay $11,000 on it. Now all of a sudden you have to pay $40,000 on it, right? And that's just like a small example. It depends on like, if you have a container full of e-bikes, that's going to be way more expensive than a container full of frames.
Yeah, I saw the Turn story. Like their typical import fee was like 30 or 40,000, and then they got a call. It's like your bill is going to be $1 million, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like insane. Like all of a sudden your landlord said, "Hey, we're not going to let you back in your house unless you pay 30% more rent, right? Like it's just unfathomable. So that's why everyone's really upset and like in a bad mood.
Yeah, and to be clear, you as like the business bringing the product in is paying. It's not like the factory in Taiwan or China is paying the money.
Yeah, they hold your container hostage at the port until you pay the tariff. That's how it works, and it works for like container shipping, air shipping, anything that enters the country, you pay a tariff on, or anything that enters the country that you're like planning to sell, right? Like so. But yeah, that's why everyone's all in a bad mood about it. I do have some interesting perspectives and takes on it. So I would say, like, the whole it's not political at all. Like, I don't want to even veer into that category. But what I'll say is, like, most people we're outsourcing stuff not because it's cheaper. It just happens to be cheaper. But there's like expertise, there's machinery, there's factories, there's things that we can't replicate here, right? And like I have some videos that I can show you from my Taiwan trip. So let's see. Yeah, so this is like Aura Engineering Factory. Like, look at how much space and equipment that they have. And the thing is, like, this is equipment and experience accumulated over 30 years, right? So even if we said, all right, let's do domestic manufacturing, like, we can't just do this right away, right? The other thing is, like, this is a tube butting machine. Here, right? Like, we used to produce these domestically, but we stopped because the market wasn't big enough. And then this is like, this thing shocked me. It's a giant autoclave, which is like a pressurized heat chamber. And they use this to heat treat their tubing once it's made, and their frames and their components. And the thing is, like, I can't imagine any bike industry company having this in America or wanting to import this thing, especially if importing this thing is 30% tariffed, right? Like, so yeah, like, look how big this, and they fill this thing with argon gas. Look at my face. That's how impressed I am. They
should have been a thumbnail right there.
Yeah, I sometimes YouTube when you upload a video, YouTube will automatically pull AI, like, AI deemed this to be your best thumbnail, and they're always me doing the most goofy faces, like
the YouTube
halfway
face.
halfway blinking. It's offensive.
So, like, I on one episode of the New Hotness, I brought up Jan Hein's article and showed the aluminum, like, hammer forging machine, and kind of made the same point, like, there's a level of expertise to this, and like this machinery probably doesn't exist for at least doing bike stuff in the States, and that's one of the reasons why it's not feasible. And then someone commented, as they do, like, well, I source machines like that all the time in the States. It's just no bike brand would want to pay it. So is that?
Yes, that's a great point. And like, this is like a broader discussion about manufacturing, because like Nick and I, we've tried building more than 100 frames per year in the United States, and it is hard. Like, it is hard work. And the problem is really, like, like, I say this with biggest respect for, like, people working in factories or working in manufacturing. It's really, really hard. Like, I try to do it and I can't, right? But like, look at this guy. This is the Maxwell factory. Like, his movements are so precise because he's been doing this for like 10 years, right? And like, complete focus. This brazing guy right here, this guy has been brazing frames for 10 years, right? Like, we need to get him on an airplane and fly him out right now to save the American economy, because, like, we're not going to find anyone with 10 years of experience brazing in the United States. But yeah, so like the issue is, like, I think America's America, West, whatever. And like, I'm not like super pro-American. Like I whatever, right? But like their greatest export is their creativity, right? So like their creativity and their tech, right? So like we give the world Meta, Google services, Disney Star Wars sequels, right? Like we give them all that stuff, and then in exchange we get goods from the other countries, right? And if you think about it, it's kind of like the creative jobs here are much more fulfilling and much more available. And so it makes sense that if you could have 5 creative jobs versus 20 manufacturing jobs, that 5 creative jobs will be able to scale a business and have more room for growth and have more room for creativity, right? And again, I say that with respect to the manufacturing jobs, like it's hard work, but it's just really hard to find skilled labor to do this sort of work every single day because it's really difficult, right? So yeah, it's just that's why it's not just the machinery, it's like a whole package. And like a lot of things about these companies is they have decades of experience doing this, right? And I think it's a little naive to think like, oh, we can just start an entire factory by us and start hiring people, and then like we'll encounter all the problems that they've encountered and solved over 40 years, right? So
yeah, a big thing from a lot of the articles I've been reading is like the problem is in the immediacy of it, right? The tariffs all happen now, effective immediately. There's no chance for smaller companies to be able to adapt in such a short time. So
yeah,
panic
for sure. Like if this was the goal, and I think like there's an interesting topic that I want to talk about, but if this was the goal of like onshoring or reducing globalization, like it would have been smart to do it in small 5%, and like maybe first start with the goods and then hit the materials and then hit the machinery, right? But if you do it all, it's just basically holding the world hostage, right? And that's basically the situation. But yeah, I mean, if you actually like having visited the factories, this whole tariff thing, it just is more shocking to me because you can see like there's massive amounts of money that everyone's invested. Like people in Taiwan, people in China, people in America have invested in the system, and you can't just cut it completely. Well, you can, and then you just get chaos and society collapsing. Yeah.
So you had gone there to you made a video going to the show like sourcing a stem.
Yeah.
Did you end up placing an order, or is that just still in process? And like how has like the post Liberation Day affected forecasting and all that stuff?
Okay, so I think like I think what this is going to hurt the most is brands that are distributor brands, because like, well, one, everyone hurts because everyone's confidence in the economy and everyone's vibes are bad and everything, so no one wants to do anything, right? Hopefully you can still ride your bike because that's free, right? Like you already have a bike, so that's the good side. But like the challenges for brands that are like distributor model, that 30% tariff just goes straight into like your margin on your product, right? Since we're like Newhouse is direct to consumer, it obviously hurts, right? And like if people are raising prices, we're going to raise prices too. But like 30% is not, well, anything could kill us at this point, but like it's not good. Like you don't want that, but it's not the end of it, right? So with regards to the question about the stem, I'm still trying to move forward with all my projects just because honestly, I think this is temporary. Optimistically, I would say if it is permanent, then we have much bigger problems. But the funny thing is like no one's responding to my emails right now, or the responses are slow because like everyone's just like crisis management right now. So yeah, I would say from a tangible perspective, like we don't have any containers on the water right now, so like we're lucky that we're not dealing with this immediately, so we have some time to figure out, and we're still moving forward with some of our production and prototype projects. But yeah, there's no point to predict what's going to happen because you don't know.
Right.
But yeah,
it just seems like it's a crazy time to be in business because there's no, like, everything's so uncertain. You don't know like what things are going to cost you, like depending on like when it left or when it arrives at the port.
Yeah, I mean, I think to some degree of being a small business and a brand, you have to be optimistic, right? Like if you make decisions out of fear, you're going to end up with like very conservative products, or you're going to end up with very conservative decisions. So yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, it's stressful and I get anxiety thinking about it, but I'm more upset about that $500 wireless dropper post. Like, I feel like that to me is a much more offensive product or thing that happened, right? Like, this is just like politics. Everyone's dealing with it. Like, you know, whatever. If society collapses, society collapses. But like that $500 wireless dropper post just really bugs me. Like, do you think it's going to make you go faster? No, it's not. Like, your seat's already down, right? And then like, oh, it saves you like what, an hour installing your dropper post because you don't need to run a cable. But then now you have another battery that you need to charge, that you need to worry about, like battery anxiety. And like, now I have an app that I have to update to like, that stuff is really offensive to me. It's like
starting to sound like Rust, Daniel.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought what was fascinating about your STEM video is like how everyone was showing like the fully integrated system. And, you know, they might have had like a simpler stem in the catalog, but no one was like displaying that. And I think probably the line that struck me most in the video is when you were talking to the tire guy and in his point of like, if you don't,
Tony, the tire guy.
Yeah. If they don't innovate, there's no industry. And so, I mean, that made me feel like sad and that there's this kind of reality of, you know, as much as I don't like, you know, electronic shifting and integration or something, you know, is it true that this stuff just has to happen to keep like the whole barge moving? Otherwise, if we just said, you know, this is good enough and what we have now, we could ride forever and be happy, it would just, you know, it would collapse the bike industry.
Yeah. So I think honestly, like that was one of my biggest takeaways from Taipei show, because that's like the true industry show, was like, oh, most people are just copying what everyone else does, and most people are just like trying to claw at new trends, right? But honestly, I feel like it's that why I'm happy that I saw that is that it leaves opportunity for smaller brands to make stuff that people actually care about or actually want, right? Like there's a really good quote from Game of Thrones that I think about, which is, those on the margin often find themselves at the center, whether the center allows it or not, right? Something like that, paraphrase. And so it's like, I was going to say something about politics, but let's leave it out. But like, alt bike is like on the margins, right? And like you have like bike companies coming out with like $500 wireless dropper post that serves like literally 3 people in the world who want like are still running a rigid post and have that kind of money to blow, and like, you know, whatever, right? Like, they're going to have a new bike in next year anyway, so who cares? They're probably not even going to charge their dropper. But like the vast majority of the bikes I see out in the world are like used, humble bikes, right? Like, and like the STEM project, I'm literally just trying to find a stem so somebody could swap their component from like their 2010 road bike to get a shorter stem to make it fit them better, right? Like, that's the end goal. And to me, that just leaves a whole opportunity that everyone's leaving behind. So that's my feeling on that. Is like, yeah, the Taipei show was about e-bikes and fully internal cable routing and like bike industry stuff, but that's actually not serving the broad base of cyclists. Like whether you're doing high performance stuff or just commuting, like, you know, that stuff doesn't serve them or appeal to them, and that's okay. It just means there's more opportunity for other people to come in.
Yeah. I've always felt like the general cycling media, you know, like the sharp pointy end of the peloton gets like the lion's share of the attention, media wise, and also like product development wise, and there's like a big middle that's just you know, kind of ignored or like untapped, or you know, the people that work at the bike brands don't know how to reach them, or don't think it's you know, enough of a market to make money, I guess. I don't know.
So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about that now that I am a YouTuber.
There you go.
The funny thing is, like, I think YouTuber in America is kind of an insult. Like, it's like you're an influencer YouTuber, but in Taiwan, it's like actually a thing. And so I would like go to a booth and with my camera and ask people questions like, "Oh, you're a YouTuber, right?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm an engineer. I make videos, but like this is going on YouTube." But anyway, about media, and so this is what I realized is like, and no, I'm not dissing any form of media. It's like it's hard to do, right? And like I'm doing it now. I know it's hard, but it's kind of like a positive feedback loop, right? It's like I think most people in the media don't care about a wireless $500 dropper post, right? It's not something they would ride. It's not something they would buy, but they have to write about it because these new companies are creating these products. And like, if you don't write about it or you don't write about it favorably, they're not going to send you products or not going to advertise with you in the future, right? Mm-hmm. And so you get this cycle of like, you have to report on certain things, and then that's what new people see, and then new people in the sport or new people come and see and buy, and then people who are been doing it for 10 or 20 years, they're like, what is this stuff? Like, this is not my stuff anymore. And then it feeds itself, right? It's like, without media, you can't sell your product. No one knows it exists. And without your product, then these media companies can't survive, right? So that's what I've become, is I've become a brand and a propaganda machine into one. It's the ultimate engine, right? And I'm not even kidding. Like, you know, if you think about Rivendell, everyone loves Rivendell. I think they're doing a great thing. And like, they started off as a media company. They wrote a newsletter, right? Like, these videos I'm making are basically newsletters that take me 50 hours to produce, right? But I'm getting patient.
It's a digital version of the Rivendell Reader.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way of putting it. I should just rename it to the Yang Reader or something.
There you go. Well, I mean, I do think like I feel like you know, let's say pre-internet and the democratization of media, there were a few like trusted outlets that were very hard to get into in terms of like earned media or, you know, some kind of advertorial spend. And then, you know, with the internet, like things opened up a bit. You had other, you know, websites competing with magazines. And then like with social media, that like upped it up another bar, where now you have like influencers and journalists and traditional media, you know, all fighting for the same product and kind of attention span. And I think like the next iteration is like brands realizing, you know, we could just make our own media and like control the message, you know, build the know, like, and trust funnel ourselves instead of relying on it being validated or us being validated by like some other external source. So I think that's what the next play is for.
Yeah, for sure.
Brands.
I think like Adam Sklar does a really good job of this, where he's built his own community. He controls the imagery and the media, or not controls the media, but he controls the view and the vision of the brand very closely.
The vibes.
And I see that with a lot of small brands coming up, and those small brands are going to become big brands, right? Like, to me, I'm gambling on YouTube that is going to be the media platform of the future. And so in 5 or 10 years, like, I would have a platform to be able to communicate to fans, followers, new people, honestly and openly, right? Like not filtered through other media outlets or what other people's opinions are, right?
I mean, I think it totally is. It's like, I mean, if you look at Instagram and TikTok, like, you know, you get clicks and you get views and they all seem very big, but how does that convert? And it's so ephemeral. But with YouTube, you can create content that's evergreen, that can actually teach people things and people can derive value from and build that trust. So I think it's like the better play in the long run. I mean, it's not as sexy in the beginning, but the better play in the long run. Like I had that you know, I forget when I went all in on YouTube. I looked at the alternative media landscape at the time, and there wasn't much, right? There was you know, probably just turned into the Radivis, Pedaling Nowhere just turned into bikepacking.com, but they're all like web based. And I was like, well, where can I go that they're not in yet, and there's like a higher wall to higher barrier to entry, and it was YouTube at the time, or still now, just because it takes so much time and you're working at like such a big loss leader to you know to make it sustainable.
Yeah, and also to be fair, like I do think those independent publications are still really important. Like to me, the written work is still, I view that very highly. Like I don't know, Nolan, you can probably relate from academia, right? Like when you publish a work, it's much more meaningful and you put more thought into it. Well, to be fair, the videos also, I'm viewing that the same way. But like when it's externally valued by other people, it's important, right? But I think the advertising model is broken, and that's how you get $500 dropper post articles on all the media outlets at the same time, right? It's like,
yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm the only one. Actually, well, what does the chat think about it? Because if I'm wrong and that's a really good product, then let me know.
The chat is not talking about dropper posts at the moment.
Oh no.
Yeah. For the chat, who's for $500 wireless dropper post? Let us know.
Or $600 road shoes.
There you go. Or $600 cassettes. Why stop there?
Yeah. I mean, I would say like $600 road shoe. Okay, there's obviously like a markup you do, you know, if you're, it's called capitalism. You mark up your product, right? And so like $600 road shoe, maybe someone wants to buy that more if it costs $600 and if it costs $400, right? But like to me, it's to me like man, sorry, I'm just bagging on this dropper post thing. It's just like, okay, I'll stop.
Well, I'm gonna reel us back in a little bit. I'm gonna reel us back in a little bit. So let's I'm like the worst case scenario kind of person. Let's say for whatever reason the crazy tariff number sticks. Like how does one reformulate? What do you do?
I mean, I think like we go overseas not because it's cheaper, but because it's better. And like we would pay more for it, you know? And so to the point that the products are better here, then we will do it better here, right? And better, it's like, you know, I think our handmade custom frames are pretty good, but like they take time and they're expensive, right? And they have it's different and it's not for everyone. And we're trying to make bikes for everyone, right? So yeah, until that point, like I think price is just going to go up. I do think that this might be the final nail in the coffin for bike shops, just because like, I mean, you already see it. Like Specialized and Trek are like buying their own bike shops now. Like they're vertically integrating their whole thing, and so the independent bike shops are probably going to be hurt the most from that, which sucks. Like there's some really good shops out there that prices are going to go up.
I saw like a Brain article go up. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, talking about Stinner frameworks, and how they've been slowly, I guess, ramping up in-house frame manufacturing, and have been doing some for some other brands. Have you been able to do a tour at their facility yet in Santa Barbara? Or
yeah, I was thinking about reaching out to them. Just to see. I think what they're doing is pretty cool. That being said, like, oh yeah, they said they're trying to produce 3,000 frames per year, but to give you an idea, Maxway produces 30,000 frames per year, and that's just Maxway. They're not even the biggest steel producer in Taiwan, let alone aluminum bikes that are a much bigger scale, right? So, like, and I'm sure that factory that Aaron has built probably cost a lot of money and took a lot of time and took a lot of emotion. And like, imagine having to scale that 10x, even scaling it 10x in 3 years. That's he's gonna have a heart attack, right? Like,
that sounds bananas.
Yeah. So it's, I would say though, if we go back to the tariff topic, like, I think it is a good point to evaluate. There's this thing called the encrapification of everything, right? Like, it could apply to products, it could apply to media. Like, if you go to Amazon and I'm like, I need a BB tool, you search BB tool, you get like 50 of them, all of them have 2,000 reviews, and then you buy one and it comes and it's like, it rounds out the first time, right? Like, how that's happened to you guys, right? I'm sure it's happened to everyone, and it doesn't apply to bike stuff too. Like, that, I think, is an example of the global supply chain just going totally wrong, right? And like, if tariffs stop that, I think that's a good thing, right? Like, I hate seeing that kind of waste, because, you know, like, people get tricked, or you end up throwing away a tool or resources or to make that it's frustrating, right? So that's one positive, is like, maybe this is a chance to, if, let's say that in a world that there are higher tariffs, it's an opportunity to reevaluate those kind of products, right? I would say the other positive is, like, from a environmental perspective, and this is like an ideal world, right? It would be nice that if things were produced here, that then the overall carbon footprint of a product being shipped around is reduced. Like, for our frames, I would say probably 10% of the cost is shipping it from across the Pacific Ocean. And if you like, you boil things down to a 5,000 foot view, the cost is proportional. The ultimate cost of something is proportional to its environmental impact, right? Like, the cost of shipping a container is mostly fuel. So anyway, it's like, you could think 10% of that product is wasted fuel, right? And if you reduce that and you do it here, then it's better for the environment. But that being said, like, if you're shipping steel over here to produce bikes here, that's even worse, because then you have extra weight of the steel that you didn't cut off into a bike frame. And then, like, in Taiwan, what I thought was really cool is they actually recycle all the cutoffs. Like, there's a whole supply chain of, like, your bike cutoffs will end up probably as a manhole cover at some point, right? And like, yeah, and so that, I don't know, it's those are the two bright sides. To give a flip side of the coin that I can think about is, it might make products better and kind of reduce the encrapification of everything, and maybe better for the environment. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things like, okay, like, if it cuts down like all the crap that people buy from like Shein and stuff, and like, you know, the just disposable clothing, then sure. But it just feels as if like there should be like a little bit more of a runway than like a week.
This is a hostage, like, this is a hostage situation, right? Like, the world is held hostage, everyone's paying attention, you know, whatever, right? I honestly don't think it's going to stick, and if it does, like, we all have bigger problems, you know. Like, the last thing we should be worrying about is bikes. Like, you know, also, like, to be fair, it really sucks for people in other countries who, like, dedicate their lives to serving the American consumer, building these frames, investing their time and money, and all of a sudden, like, to just be cut off like that, right? Like, these factories are our friends. These people work really hard. They work extremely hard, right? And then you just cut them off like that. It totally sucks.
Yeah, I was thinking like the flip side. Let's say, okay, for that, through some miracle, you know, we get U.S. manufacturing back. We're building stuff, but like, haven't we burnt that goodwill? Like, are other countries really going to be willing to like import U.S. goods at that point after being held hostage?
Yeah, I mean, this is just politics, right? Like, whatever,
I mean, I was over at I was at Cycling World in Dusseldorf, and yeah, there's some people that would stop by a booth and they had like American products, and they're like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy that. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair, right? Like yeah. I wouldn't be too happy. Like, no one's happy about this situation.
Yeah. All right, we've got 164 people in the chat. If you guys have questions for Daniel or Nolan, put them in there. What else do we have on all your talking points that you want to hit?
Let's see. Let's I mean, I would love to talk about the Taiwan trip because it's a happy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's see. If the chat wants to express their emotions, this is an opportunity to do so. Get it out. Let's see. Let's hear it.
I didn't watch the entire video at Aura yet, but I did like how you got your mystery solved of how the mandrels work for the budding.
Yeah.
I still want to talk about. That's my main talking point that I wanted to clarify with you. I have some questions about that.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Well, are we ready to change gears, or are we still?
Yeah,
let's
tariffs.
change gears.
Oh yeah, I'll put it into it. Tariffs, they suck. Doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Society collapses. We'll have bikes to ride. It'll be great. Except when the electricity grid blows up and like all the cell phones die, and then you can't update your dropper post. Or you can't charge it. And for you, I have no there's no sympathy for you, right? Like that's the choice you made. It wasn't a good one. Okay. Now let's move
I feel
on.
like this might be I'm getting like COVID vibes where it might be a good time to stock up on consumables before the next shipment comes over and costs like 30% more.
Or just don't buy stuff, right?
Yeah, don't buy stuff, or buy it now. If you were considering it, you got to buy it now before. It's a little bit of like panic.
I was thinking of having a Liberation Day sale where the sale is that the stuff is still the same price, but I didn't want to. There's a lot of stuff that I think is really funny that I would love to do, but then like I know I'm going to get in trouble, so I can't do that kind of stuff. But I'll say it here. In fact, for those in the chat right now, if you go to Newhouse, it's a Liberation Day sale for you guys. The price is still the same. I'm going to go raise the price after this live stream.
There you go. All right. So what was your nerdy question, Nolan? Was it about the mandrel also?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Well, I don't want to just dive straight into the weeds. Like we should talk about your trip first of all for a little bit so people know, and then also specifically, you hit Maxway, you hit Aura. The Aura video, in my opinion, I don't know, man. I was riveted. I think that's the best video you've put out, to be honest. One of the best, and it was really good, really good. So, why don't you tell us about the trip to start?
Yeah, first, this is exclusive premiere. I made a 1-minute documentary on Taiwanese fried chicken. So this is, exclusive right now. This is the kind of stuff that I thought about posting on my YouTube, but I was like, I'm going to lose 1,000 subscribers if I just start posting this kind of stuff. So,
but you're going to gain 1,000 more. Too.
That's true. But dude, are those 1,000 people going to buy bikes from me? I don't know. But anyway, check out this mass-produced fried chicken. Like, we don't have any sort of fried chicken factories like this in the States, So those tariffs are going to wreak havoc on the Taiwanese fried chicken market.
There you go.
Look at that. Okay, so anyway, jumping ahead, I went to Taiwan with my friend Ashley of Significant Other Bikes and her partner Miles. And Ashley's a frame builder, and we've worked together on multiple projects, but here's some vibes. This is a video that's unreleased. Working on it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I would say I'm a weirdo in that I hate taking vacations, but if I can like work while on vacation, then I'm really excited. So I don't know if that's healthy or not. But it was kind of I got to work on projects, like engineering projects with some of the factories. And if you watch the STEM video, I literally went to find a STEM. And I also went to produce YouTube videos for people. Like I joke that it's propaganda and it's marketing, but honestly, like I try to make them, I only do it if it has value to the viewer. So like if they learn something or if they're entertained or they're inspired. And that's like, to me, my videos have to do that.
Right.
And that's the cool thing about being a YouTuber with a bike brand is like, I don't have to accept money or do things just to make videos to make that part work. Like the videos are just to supplement the brand and the brand supplements the videos. So, you know, and it's also a kind of fun angle because I'm coming from outside the bike industry, as like 99% of the people watching this are from outside the bike industry. And I'm learning about it as I dive deeper into it. Right. And so you could kind of follow my journey through that.
How hard is it to get people to talk to you going to the Taipei Cycling Show? Did you need like introductions? I mean, you knew some of the people from working with them, but like I'd considered going, but I didn't know how much like value I could get out of it, like as a complete noob.
Yeah, I think being Asian really helps because it's like I blend in.
You're like a foot taller than everybody.
Yeah, and also I don't speak Chinese, so it's always like they look at me.
They're confused.
I like they always look at me and say something, and I'm always like in my broken Chinese, like 我不讲中文, like I don't speak Chinese, and they just look at me, and then they ask me again in Chinese, and I'm like, okay, I mean I get it. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think they just literally like they can't comprehend like
right.
You know. But anyway, to answer the question about how hard, I would say everyone is really, really friendly. Especially like I would say a lot of the Asian manufacturers are friendlier than the American manufacturers. And I think it's part of the culture. I think it's just like different if you're a manufacturer, you know, you're not as like ego driven about your brand or your product. It's like you're just there to do work. But
yeah, I couldn't get the sense of whether, because it's traditionally like almost like a trade show, right? It's not like necessarily consumer facing. So like, do they give you time of day if you're not there to do orders or anything?
Yeah, so that's a good segue to Taipei show. Like a lot of brands there are manufacturers, and so a lot of the products they show you are like open model products, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're even selling them. It's for a lot of them, it's just showcasing what they can do, right? Because they may be making bikes or frames for a really well-known manufacturer, but they can't display that in their booth. So for a lot of people, like when I talked to Tony, the tire guy at Innova Tire, like I was like, can I talk to you about 32-inch tires? And then he immediately started talking to me about his low profile radial tire. And it took me like 15 minutes to understand what he was talking about. But he was so proud that they had invented a new, he's like, I was like, I didn't get it. He's like, let me explain. Car tire. Do you know car tire? I'm like, yes. He's like, that's a low profile radial tire. And basically it's like the threads are, how would I call it? Like radially, not like longitudinally. And it's extra low profile. So it doesn't like light bulb up. It's very square and shallow.
Right.
And it's for e-bikes. So it's because like the e-bikes, they need to go really fast and they're really heavy, and then beginners corner on them, and then the wheel folds, and they, you know. But anyway, they're very proud of their stuff, right? And that's like why it's actually really easy to talk to them, especially if you're like genuinely wanting to converse with them. Like there's I watched the other Taipei show coverage, and there's like, check out this $4,000 wheel, check out this crank that like obviously is a bad idea. Like, but that kind of stuff, like it doesn't earn any favors with anybody, right? But if you're there genuinely wanting to learn and understand, like they're all people. They're actually really nice.
Right.
Way better than talking to a PR person at Sea Otter, for sure.
I know exactly which video you're talking about from the Taipei show.
So
there's like a couple videos like we're throwing shade at the crank.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff's
seems like
not,
it's yeah.
That stuff's not cool. Like that's like me going to Sea Otter and then pulling aside a random company and like talking shit about their product, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a lot of bad stuff out there. You don't need to like, you know. But the funny thing about the Taipei show is like, I mean, I spent a lot of effort making that video. And I'm actually really proud of the STEM video. And a lot of people, like, they really enjoyed that unique take on the industry, right? And that's where I think like media can evolve, right? Like other brands can do this sort of stuff too. And I think people find it really entertaining, and they learn a lot. And to me, the most important thing is they appreciate what they have more, right? And to me, like that's usually why someone buys a new product, is because it's like, oh, I don't like my old thing anymore. You know, like it's not cool. Mm-hmm. But if they know that there's a lot of work went behind it, or you watch the Maxway video, like I was surprised how, let's see, I'll find it. Like I was surprised how much effort goes into a single braze on, right? Like to me, that made me appreciate it more. And also it made me think, I don't want to put more braze-ons on my bikes because this poor guy has to, you know, braze on every single one, right? But yeah. Yeah, anyway, Taipei show. It's fun. You know, maybe next year we should all go. That'll be like a fun trip and YouTube trip.
Yeah, if you go again, I'll tag along. I'll budget some YouTube dollars.
Yeah. And I like right before the trip, I finally got underneath 200 pounds, and then like just in time to gain it back traveling to Taiwan, because the food's really good.
All the street fried chicken.
It's all the fried chicken, man.
Yeah, too much fried chicken. But they have really good vegetables too. That's actually my favorite part, is like Asian vegetables have a lot more variety than Western salads.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Aura is a manufacturer. They're a very like progressive manufacturer in Taiwan, right? Yeah, Aura is the factory that you guys do your production steel frames at?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then I know a couple other brands that work with Aura as well. The video was really good. Like if you haven't seen the video, you should go check it out. Russ, you can maybe link it down below or something. But yeah, like tell us a little bit about what makes Aura stand out, and like what were the things that you just like the standouts from this particular manufacturer.
Yeah, let me pull up my Aura video. Let's see if I can pull up. Man, you could see. Where is this? Is it? So I would say maybe I could talk higher level. And I wrote a Radivus article about the different manufacturers at Taipei show. Go check it out. But every manufacturer has a different specialty and a different culture and a different vibe. And I should say all of them are actually quite progressive and really nice. Like part of it is like, I should also say it's like, it's not me who's well connected with these companies. It's actually our trade agent who like helps coordinate these things. His name's Joe, also has my last name. We're cousins, not really. But yeah, because of that, like I think they're a little more warm to me visiting and filming stuff. But in general, I think they are quite nice. Like it's funny because a lot of times I feel like they're nicer than companies in California who we're neighbors with, right? But with regards to Aura, they definitely have higher end process and like much more attention to detail. And of course, that means it's more expensive, and you generally produce fewer of frames. You know, like if you have a certain budget, you get fewer frames out of it. But in particular, their tube butting that is done in-house, that really impressed me. And that was another reason why I went to Taiwan, was to solve the mystery of tube butting. And yeah, it was really cool to see. I was impressed. Like, I had visited last year, asked questions, whatever, but this time I was even more impressed. Like, I didn't realize they had like, where's the picture? These oh, sorry, this is probably not the best.
All the mandrels.
Yeah, not the best viewing. All the mandrels, like almost 1,000 mandrels just to make different tube diameters, and butt profiles. And that's really cool to see. And this is also why I enjoy telling these stories, is like, a lot of people know Reynolds and Columbus, and like they view those things really highly, but that's just because, you know, they make good stuff, but a lot of people make really good stuff and they don't get highlighted, right? Because it's not cool, you know. Anyway, maybe this is Nolan. This is a good opportunity to ask the dying question that you have about tube butting.
I've waited 51 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I found this segment of the video really cool, and I feel like most people in the chat probably understand like what a butted tube is, but basically the outer diameter is constant across the whole tube, but the inner diameter widens toward the middle. So the wall thickness gets thinner toward the middle of the tube, which adds compliance and reduces weight, right? And Daniel's burning question was, well, how did they do that? It turns out they use a mandrel, which is basically like, it's the negative space inside of the tube, right? It's got like, you know, smaller diameters at the ends, and then there's a larger diameter in the middle, which kind of like squishes that tube to a thinner wall. And your question was, well, once they butt the tube, how do they get the mandrel out? Because it's basically clamped off to some degree at both ends. And your explanation said, watch the video. And I watched it maybe 30 times, and I couldn't see what you were looking at. Like, I don't know what happened. I still don't get it.
I was going to circle it on the video.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to make a circle in DaVinci. So, but if you look at this reflection,
yes,
right, and
I don't know reflection so well at this point. Yeah,
I don't know if the frame rate. Oops, you missed it. Did you see it?
You gotta shoot that at 60 frames per second, man, and slow it down.
I'm barely like functioning trying to operate two cameras. So okay, here, do you see this little wave traveling through? Right. Like, look at the reflection. You can see a wave traveling through it. Nolan, did you see it?
No.
It's like a smudge.
Enhance.
Enhance.
It's like CSI.
Yeah, enhance.
Okay.
Do you see that reflection?
Yes.
So that's the tube snapping back to the correct diameter.
Okay, so like, the mandrel is basically just shoved out, and then the thicker walled section just kind of retracts back to its nominal size.
Exactly. I honestly, I still don't believe it, but like, there's nothing else that could be happening, because I held those mandrels. They don't expand. They're like, they are just a rod, like a giant rod. I think the piece that I was missing is like this is not the die right here. Like the external die, this is actually just to hold the tube. But the point that I was missing is that by the time this piston is retracting, it's no longer being constrained on the outside. So like, it allows the tube to expand. Whereas like when it's being forced through the die, it's I think the next shot shows the die. This is the backside of the die. But like, as it's being forced through the die, it constrains the outer diameter. But at the point where the piston's retracting, the tube's already outside the machine, and so it's free to expand as the mandrel pulls out.
And it's just, I mean, you're talking like, what's the difference between the outer wall, the thicker wall and the thinner wall section?
It's so like a 9. Like, let's say this tube is a 969, so it's 0.3 millimeters difference in wall thickness,
right?
Which is still a lot, but
It's a lot, but like that's well within the elastic range of the material, so it'll just snap back, right?
You know, I was calculating that last night, and maybe my rough calculation is wrong. I don't know. I still don't believe it. So maybe we have to go back. Maybe we have to go back to Taiwan and just figure this out. But I mean, like, literally, it's happening right in front of my eyes. There can't be anything else. Like, it's literally a hole with a rod forcing a tube through it. Like, it can't be anything. But yes, I calculated, and it's like maybe 1.5% elongation in diameter to pop it out. But that seems like quite a bit. Like,
sure.
I don't know. That's so the other thing about this is like that it's also why you can't have huge differences in butt profiles. Like, you can't have 1 inch, 1 millimeter thick to like 0.3 thick, right?
Yeah.
You can at the head tube, because the head tube is like on the other end of the tube, so it's really easy to extract the mandrel at that point. But you can't have a really thick butt at the head tube and a really thick butt at the seat tube, because then the mandrel will probably have to expand the tube too much to get out.
I see.
Yeah. It's also why like titanium tubes are so much more difficult to form, because the material itself doesn't like to be formed, so they have to do it in a lot more steps than steel. Like, I think the steel tube, they were only forming it twice, and they didn't even have to heat treat it in between. Whereas the titanium one, they had to form it probably 3 or 4 times and heat treat it between every step.
Right. Which is what that giant orange pressure vessel was, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, to tie this to the title of this is, or this stream is like, this is stuff that we have no knowledge about, or maybe someone does at some point, but like, Aura is producing some really modern tube profiles that like we would have to start from scratch by like trying to iterate on what mandrel and how many steps and what step is in between each one, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. They were super nice.
Very, fascinating.
Yeah,
great video.
Thanks. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we've got 155 people in the chat. If you guys have any other questions for Daniel on his trip to Taiwan and the Taipei Cycling Show, let's put that in the comments.
Let's see.
How's the YouTube stuff been going, Daniel? We haven't really touched upon that in a while.
It's going really well. I made like maybe $150 last month.
Sweet.
the way I would say people really enjoy it, and like it doesn't have the broadest reach, which I'm realizing is perfectly fine. Like, just like bike industry needs to cater to a really broad audience, like I don't need to do that. I just need to cater to people who care about the same stuff I care, right? I would say from a technical perspective, I've leveled up quite a bit. Like, I'm finally able to technically create the vision and story that I have in my mind, and I'm not struggling with it as much. But yeah, to me, it's just a new challenge, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah. No, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell the videos. I mean, even your early ones were pretty good. Like just the information that you shared was awesome, but now the production quality is going up. It's really good.
Yeah, I would say like this is also another thing to tie it back to these factories and bike companies and bike industry is like I really see that the culture of the people and their happiness and their excitement and the passion gets reflected in the final product. Like even a factory, you could say like, oh well, they're just building stuff for other people, right? But like there are little things and pieces along the way that like get passed on to the final product. And same with the YouTube videos. It's like if I'm having fun with the YouTube videos, then people are going to have fun watching them, right? Or like if I'm really having fun designing a bike and riding a bike, then that final product, when it becomes a product, will be fun and exciting, and people will get that, like little bits and pieces, like everything along the way has to happen. And I don't think you get that with bigger bike companies because at that point you're a business, or you don't get that with bigger media, like really big media companies, because at that point you're just a business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I really liked about your videos in Taiwan is like I feel like they're the first like high quality videos of those factories. Like you'll hear like Maxway mentioned, and kind of like just this dirty factory that makes bike frames for all this, and like it's always, I don't know, spoken about in like kind of shady, like halfway mysterious tones. But like and I've seen photos. I think Shell Money went there, and like they're very, very moody photos. Yeah. But this is like the first one where it's like, oh no, it's just a business. They're doing their job. They have pride in their products. They have a sense of humor. They're letting me ask dumb questions. And yeah, it's like I saw this like, oh, it's the first time that we're actually seeing what the factories are like.
Yeah, I'm happy that you saw that, because that's exactly what I was trying to communicate.
Because people, like I feel like up until recently, when people say Maxway, it's always been, like a lesser company because they couldn't make it in the US, and it's just who everybody uses because it's cheap, but not because it's like a point of pride, and because they have like the specialized labor and the tools to do it really, really well. And I feel like this is one of the first times where you can actually see their expertise.
Yeah, I would say like that is exactly what I want to show, because like, again, I think it's about allowing people to appreciate their bikes more. Like even if your bike isn't made at Maxway or is made in China, like still a lot of work and machinery and experience is put into it so you can enjoy that bike, right? And like I come to the bike industry as an outsider and like a fan of the manufacturing, and to me, like I would enjoy my product or my bike more if I knew what went into it, or I understood the design decisions. And I know that's not for everyone, but like that's what I'm trying to do, is show that, right? Like,
well, yeah, I feel like that's what Grant did with the Riv Reader and lugs. Like, how many people really gave a fuck about lugs until he wrote so many, like years of newsletters about it. It's like educating, why it's important, why it's special, the work that's involved.
Yeah, definitely. Like all products are good now, like it's just, maybe it's people lose sight of that, right? Like, and then they get caught up like, oh, I want this new thing, or I want that wireless dropper post, right? Like, but yeah, a lot of the bikes have been good. There are some bad bikes out there for sure, right? Like,
and you guys bad bottom bracket tools too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys test bikes. You guys can feel it in the bikes. It's kind of surprising, right? So like sometimes you have a preconceived notion about the geometry or whatever, but some bikes just don't have that kind of soul in it, right? And it's a combination of the geometry, the tube spec, but it's also about like the culture of the brand who's making it, the culture of the company who made it, like how their communication interaction was, right? Like there's more. I mean, I'm an engineer, but so I have a very technical worldview, but it's also like there's definitely an emotional and social and cultural component of cycling. And if a brand and factory and all those things can capture that and it aligns, then you get a product with soul that hopefully lasts a long time, right? Yeah, because we're not buying anything anytime soon.
I was trying to think of some video ideas around like a tariff-free bike, and basically, it'd be like a used bike, or but framing it in that through that lens for the next couple
for
videos.
Sure.
Are we gonna see your fix? Did you do a video on the fixie that you built for the trip?
Yeah, that I have a like who's the YouTuber in South Korea probably riding. I use his my video style is different. I'm not as like smooth British voice. I'm a little more like chaos, but I have a video riding around Taichung similarly inspired, but I got to make this stupid sea otter video, which is just going to be everyone's just depressed. But yeah,
Sea Otter hasn't happened yet, has it?
No, it's
No, okay.
This week. Yeah,
this week. Yeah,
I'm pretty curious, like what the mood's going to be like. I mean, who knows what could happen between now and then? But you know,
no one knows.
What was it like in at the bike show? Were people feeling optimistic or
at Taipei?
Yep.
Oh yeah, everyone's feeling great. We just like clawed our way out of the COVID hole, and we're like, it's happening. It's like our hummingbird.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah, we ordered 100 hummingbirds, and they arrived 2 months ago, and then we already sold 80 of them. Right.
Oh wow.
So like we're like, it's happening. We're a business, and then now just like, well, you know. At least we didn't lose money on that. Like, but yeah, I mean, I think the smaller brands who make high quality stuff will be fine. Like, and you know, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely not great, but we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are there non-political? Let's give the chat a little bit. Are there non-political things in the chat?
So here, someone asked Daniel, has anyone considered shipping to the UK then onward shipping to the US? Does that work?
Yeah,
could you go through another country and all of a sudden like whatever tariffs and duties are like whoops?
Yeah, but like every country got like poor Vietnam got like 40%. What did they do to us? You know. You could do that. In fact, like, you know, if a lot of companies will ship stuff to Taiwan and then get painted or some final assembly or something, and then it's a Taiwanese product, and then, you know,
I see.
But yeah, yeah, you could do that, but a lot of wasted, bad for the environment for sure.
It's more gas, more fuel.
Yeah, maybe Canada, and then I will rent a van every week and take a couple frames every week over the border.
So guy asks, rod being forcer, I thought the tube was rolled between the mandrel and an outside roller.
Definitely not rollers. It's just a die. It has to be stretched as it's going through. So it's not actually like, it's hard to visualize. Like it's a dynamic process. So it's kind of being elongated and being pushed through. So it's gentler than it seems. It's not just like ka-chunk and then it's a tube and it goes ka-chunk and then it's on a bike. It's not like that. I would say like Aura mentioned this, that they run the machines slower and have more steps in between to ensure that the material is stressed less. So that's a cool thing you can do. That's a cool thing of doing it in-house, is like you get the tube and then you screwed up and so you fix it, right? Whereas like if you have a supplier, you know, they screw up on 100, then you tell them, they're like, oh, but we've been doing this for 20 years. Why would we change? And then they change a little bit and then they don't want to buy it. So, you know, that's a cool part about having that in-house.
Yeah. Alex asks, when is Artifact Newhouse Monster Gravel Bike coming out?
You know, it was going to come out in July, or sorry, the samples were going to arrive in July, and that's still happening. Whether we're even around or not, you know, doesn't even. Doesn't even know. It is interesting though. So like Monster Gravel, you're thinking like the 2.0 trend, right? Or 2.2 gravel bike. I'm skeptical because I think that's another example of racing driving product and consumer demand. Like, not that a 2.0 drop bar bike wouldn't be fun, like it would, but if you think about how most people use drop bar bikes, like commuting or riding like 20 miles to ride a dirt climb and then descending on the road, like that's how gravel bikes are mostly ridden. And I think a 45 and 50 is the ideal tire size for that. So that definitely, I mean, I saw a comment about the high performance Rivendell that I'm building, and the frame's done. Everything's done. The components are here. Like the Eckhar group set is down there somewhere. I just don't have time. Okay. But after Sea Otter, I'm going to finish that because the fans keep asking for it. But that one has some really cool Vittoria 2.4s that are super fast. And I'm curious about testing that. But yeah, with regards to really big tires, we make a mountain bike that's pretty fun. So we don't want to. I think like big tires on drop bar bikes are just roadies who don't want to wear baggies. That's my theory. But it's okay. I wear spandex when mountain biking, so it's okay. You can do that too.
You can cross over. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you wear, as long as you're comfortable.
What else? Well, we're over an hour. So any last thoughts?
Let's see. Let me think about it. I see some skepticism. Why is 45 the optimum? Because we say so? No, because I test it. I don't bullshit you guys. You should know by now. Let's see. How does Tariff work for Tariff? Oh, I see a dropper. 550 Axis dropper is 300 less than the Fox wireless dropper, and sold out on the first. Clearly, the same people that I want. Yeah, I guess so. I don't care.
Who's buying that stuff?
Yeah. Okay. Honest. Anyone in the chat who has a wireless dropper post? Come on. Anyone?
I've ridden a wireless dropper on a demo bike.
Yeah.
It didn't change. It wasn't mind blowing. It didn't change the way I rode.
Yeah. You didn't get faster?
Didn't get faster.
Dang. Didn't it help with your descending skills? You still touch the brakes?
I still touched the brakes, yeah.
Oh,
the seat also still didn't touch my butt. So
did you try updating the app first?
Here you go. Mr. Velo Shop has an access dropper.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Velo Shop. I'm just kidding.
Don't backpedal. You don't have to backpedal.
Okay.
But I think he has a bike shop though, so
I'm just joking, okay? Like I don't hopefully no one takes anything offensive what I say. But personally, I think it's crazy. Like, I just don't want another app in my life. Okay, let's.
So I'm curious about. Okay, you have this last point in your bullet list. You touched on it a little bit, but there's a path for the alt bike to become the main bike. Can you expand on that thought a little bit? And I think we can take it home here.
Because that's exactly, you read my mind, because that's where I was going. That quote, right? The Game of Thrones quote. Those on the margins will come to the center, right? And you think about it, it's kind of like if you think about the ocean, right? How the once in a while the water cycles, like the nutritious water at the bottom, the juicy, nutritious alt bike water at the bottom will rise up and then feed everyone above, right? And I honestly think that that's going to happen, because the more weird and niche the bike industry gets, the more it's gonna. Well, I mean, bike industry is still gonna do its bike industry things, but I think that now information is getting more available, and like the next generation of people don't have any money. Like, I think it's gonna completely shift, right? And like brands that are small now will, if they survive, will become the next medium-sized brands in the future. And I think maybe medium-sized brands is the future, because if you think about cycling, it really is a regional thing, right? Like, Russ, your needs and your style and your culture in Spain is going to be different from someone in Northern California. It's going to be different from Southern California. It's going to be different from someone in Texas, different from someone in Arkansas, right? And someone, in Minnesota. So like, you don't really need these massive companies dictating what kind of bikes are best suited to you, right? And like, to be fair, I love road racing. Like, I love watching Tour of Flanders, but I don't want to own one of those bikes because like I'm not fast enough to be riding that. And and that's fine. But people like that. Like, people drive sports cars. It's all cool.
I also think like the one reason why I think alt cycling, for lack of better terms, is going to flourish is the media landscape is changing. It's again, we were talking about the democratization of like bike media. I do a part like every week on the new hotness, like shouting out like these interesting channels. And when I started like going full time 2017, there was like no one else, or there were very, very few other like all cycling or cycling adjacent channels. And now every week there's like new stuff in my feed. So I feel like it's going to come, like you said, like from the ground up. And likely Velo News or GCN won't talk about it, but there's still going to be a lot of chatter and media online.
Yeah, I mean, at what point my end goal with my YouTube channel is to get bought out by Russ for ACN, is to sell. So like when that happens, I'll be ready, right? Like when all the little YouTube channels combine under Path Less Pedaled of the alternate cycling network, then I think we'll have completed the little revolution.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I'm in San Francisco, and like I have a lot of friends that are working at like Facebook and Google, the dark tech companies, right? And they're cool people. They ride bikes too. But like what's interesting is I see that a lot of media, how much of media and what people think and what people buy are driven by algorithms. And it's actually honestly pretty scary. Like I think a lot of the encrapification of products is a result of encrapification of media, right? Like as a brand, I'm starting to look into advertising, right? And it's like there are companies that spend $20,000 a month on Instagram ads, right? And you think about like what kind of product can you communicate to somebody sitting on a toilet swiping in a bad state of mind, like 10 like, and the average view time on Instagram ads is like 10 15 seconds. And the scary thing is those ads work. That's why people pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month on advertising, right? And it's not a bad thing. Like you need to get your product out there. You need to get word out there. But it's also like that's the state of media, and that's like all the media companies, like Radivis, like Escape Collective, like even a lot of YouTube, like Path Less Pedal too, right? Like those $10,000, $20,000 a month IG ads that everyone's running could have been money put into creative people to like improve the culture or tell the stories of cycling, right? And it's not. And it's also like those algorithms are designed to get you to stay on platforms so you watch ads more. YouTube is guilty of this too. That's why like this live stream has like a clickbaity hot topic, right? So people watch it. And I get it. It's part of the game that you have to play. But yeah, it'd be fun if we could just talk about cool stuff and like fun rides and everything. And I think we touched on that.
Yeah, it's funny. We had what's it called? Hardtail Party. Steve from Hardtail Party, and we were talking about that and how because he views himself as kind of like an education channel, and he doesn't want to play the title and thumbnail game, but it's kind of at your peril if you're doing it full time. And I noticed like a change after his Jones bike video, and it did really, really well. So I think there's a way to do it. There's this one, I forget where I heard it from, but basically for the title thumbnail, you give people what they want, which is like clickbaity title, but you feed them what they need, which is like the education and this still solid content. It's just unfortunately the packaging has to get them past that first click.
Yeah, so. Like if my bike rides great, but it's ugly, no one's gonna buy it, right? Like or if I make this most amazing stainless steel road bike, and then like I photograph it in the small chain ring with the crank tilted down, like people are gonna vomit, And that's like it's the game you play. It's part of it's the world, right? So I think it's fine. I think YouTube is still good, but like what worries me is people's attention is just your attention is being sold, and I think people are getting sick of it. Like you see, I'm glad you're doing streaming. Like there's a generation below me that I have no idea because I'm old now, but like they've turned completely to streaming because like streaming is the only real thing that that can see.
Yeah.
It's not overproduced. You're getting honest people, right? And
Yeah.
I think YouTube is a step above that. Like it is production, but you can tell some really cool stories or do some really cool projects. And then, yeah, like I think written outlets, I think they need to exist because you need a standard bearer that kind of filters content. But then if they're relying on advertising, then you get $500 dropper posts, right? But then like if they're community based and they collect money and people realize that they should be paying for media, then like those companies would survive. So yeah, if you guys believe in that, you know, give Russ a tip.
And Nolan.
Yeah. What do I get any of the cut from the tips or?
Oh yeah.
I didn't get a check last time.
Well, if we go to Taiwan next year, I'll get you all the fried chicken you want.
Yeah, and guys, $10, a $10 tip right now would buy a lot of fried chicken.
Nice. All right. On that note, thanks again for joining us on live stream. Thank you, Daniel, for being our guest. If you haven't already, definitely check out Daniel's series of videos from the Tapei Cycling Show. I'm going to be eagerly anticipating all the sea otter stuff to get a sense of how stoked people are.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not going to make a video if it's not fun, and I'm just going actually to hang out with my friends from LA because it's like kind of in between the middle.
Right.
So we're just going to do rides and hang out. And my favorite thing to do is like, because I'm like I said, I'm like the outsider who's finding his way into bike industry. It's like you sit down with a company, you small chat a little bit, and then you ask them a secret, you know, and then usually their guard is down and they'll tell you like how many bikes they're selling, you know, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's part of the reason why I go. Well, I don't think any of the big brands are going to watch this. So
no.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they don't. All right. I'm going to take us home. All right. Thanks, everybody. As always, keep the salt upside down. And end stream. Okay. Cool.